All right, so I just got home from a European tour with Slipknot. And when you're shooting the same band every single night, it's fun to switch things up, to experiment with different styles and different tools. And this time around, I brought a few different effects filters for my lenses, one of which is this guy right here, which is the K&F Concept Blue Streak Effect Filter. I bought the 82mm version of this, and I primarily used it with this setup, which is a tank, the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8 on a Sony a7 R5. And since it's an 82mm thread size on the filter, I also used it a lot with my Sony 16 to 35 2.8 G Master. So spoiler alert, I really like this filter. I think it's awesome. However, there are a few catches, and we'll get to those later. So what does a blue streak effect filter do? Well, they ace the name of this one. It creates a blue streak. Sometimes it can make a different color, depending on the light source and the scene you're in. But for the most part, it gives you kind of like that cinematic anamorphic look, where it finds the brightest light in an image, and it'll create a streak out of that. And sometimes a whole lot of streaks if you have a lot of lights, which can be a problem. For the most part, it looks really awesome. Sometimes it doesn't. But here's some of my favorite shots that I got with it while I was on the road earlier this month. All right, so let's talk about some of the pros of the blue streak effects filter. Number one, it looks really cool. It can really elevate a good photo into an awesome photo. It's just the subtleness of that blue line. I mean, you could probably do a lot of this in post if you wanted to go to Photoshop and maybe download an overlay or something, but when you just nail it with a practical thing like this, it looks great. Another pro is that you can stack other filters on top of this thing. So if you wanted to combine different effects filters, you can totally do that. I mean, you're always playing with fire with effects filters because it's caked into your image, but I think it's really cool to combine this with some other filters as well. Another cool thing about this filter is that there's like this spinny part on top, so you can actually make the blue line show up vertically or horizontally, whichever direction you're going for. I typically prefer the horizontal look, but in certain scenarios, you might find a different look that works for you better. Okay, so let's talk about cons of this filter and just kind of filters in general, because they all suffer from one major problem. And that's that whatever effect, whatever result you get from using this, it's baked into your image. So for better or worse, it's there and it is not going away. So for all the great photos you can get with something like this, you can probably get an equal number of bad shots, or just shots where the effect will cover the subject, cover their face or just a critical portion of the photo. And that's just the risk you take with using any filter. It's not this filter's fault, that's just any filter. Another con of this, which isn't the filter itself's fault, it's not the company's fault, it's just a filter thing, is that if you use screw-on filters like this, which there are magnetic ones out there, which I'm starting to consider, sometimes these screw-on ones, they just get stuck on your lens. And that happened to me one night. I was filming just a speaking portion of a show. And I was mostly I just wanted the audio of it to put B-roll over the top of it so it didn't destroy my shot. But I couldn't get this off. And the lights were so harsh. And just the footage itself is not exactly my cup of tea. I don't like this look. It was too much, too many lights, too much going on. To me, this is ruined footage. So thankfully, I was only looking for the audio, but that's something you have to consider. And here's just a bit of advice, or just my opinion at least. If you are 100% sure that you're about to shoot or film a really important moment in a concert or an event, or just whatever the case may be, I would not use any effects filter. Anything that you really need, you can add that in post probably if you want to take the time. But if you do have an effects filter on, and let's say it's a situation like I was in where it can just blow out an image, you don't want that. So I would suggest not using these in really critical moments. These are fun, but I think the fun is kind of where they have to stay most of the time. That's really like the only cons I have of this. It's an effects filter. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not, but when they're good, they're great. And when they're great, they're a lot of fun. And you can get a lot of cool images that other people probably are not getting. So let's wrap this up. Would I recommend the K&F Concept Blue Streak Effect Filter? For sure. If you want to add like a cinematic element to your photos, this is a really cool and easy way to do that. You just toss one of these in your bag and just have it around Don't use it all the time, but just bust it out sometimes, and you're gonna get a really cool look from these photos and video. If you're interested in something like this, you can actually pick one up on Amazon, and there's 2 different kinds from this company at least. I got the Nano X series, which I understand to be the higher level series, but there's another one on there, the K series, which is about half of the price of this one. And there's all different sizes. So, I mean, this is an 82mm one, which is a pretty common thread for a zoom lens, but they have all different sizes. And from my understanding, the X series just has superior optical quality. It's more water resistant and scratch resistant, but I don't think you can go wrong with either of them, especially if you're gonna be shooting indoors. You don't really need to worry about water or anything. So if you wanna save some money, check out the cheaper version of one of these. And there are links in the description if you wanna take a look at either of these, just to see if it's something that you might want to add to your bag. But that's it for this one, real quick one. I just wanted to showcase this thing. I thought it was a lot of fun to use. It's an interesting thing to add to your bag, whether you're shooting concerts or events, or even just like cars or something like that. Anything that has like a bright light source, you can get a really cool effect from a blue streak filter like this. But if you enjoyed what you saw today, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see some more content like this, because there is a lot of it coming in the coming weeks. I'm super stoked to be back at home and in the laboratory, we'll call it. It's good to be back, so make sure you're following the channel and comment below if you've used something like this before, if you have any recommendations of some other cool filters maybe to check out for, let's say, concert shooting. But that's it. Thanks for checking it out. Be in touch and be excellent. Yeah, if you do have any cool recommendations, let me know, because that's just what I need to do right now, is spend more money. I shouldn't, but I will.